360. The first thing we want to do is come over here to the view cube and click on front. Then we want to click on this arrow on the right side so that we can look at the right plane. Once we're looking at the right plane, let's come to origin, and we're going to select the YZ plane, and we're going to create our sketch here. Now I'm going to come to center diameter circle, and I'm going to place a center diameter circle right on the origin with a diameter of 0.425. With that created, I can come over to center diameter circle and create yet another circle, except this is going to be 0.785 in diameter. And so you should now have two circles. So I'm going to move these two dimensions out. And now I can come to my line, and I can just create a line here that's attached to that outer circle. And we can give this a bit of an angle coming inward, so I'm going to place it at about here. And we're going to do the same thing on the other side. And the other thing you'll want to do is click on the line, click on the circle, come over here and make them tangent, and do the same thing for the top one. So now you have two tangent lines, and you'll know that they're tangent because you'll see the symbol come up, and you'll also be able to kind of move it like this, and you could see that it's always staying tangent to the original circle. So what we want to do is we want to set an angle. So I'm going to come to my Z axis, and I'm going to project it, hit P on the keyboard, and hit OK. And now I can click on that line and set it to be construction. And I'm going to set a dimension between these two lines to be, for right now, we'll leave it at 1 degree. And I'll do the same thing right here on the other side. So 2 1-degree lines. May have to bring these dimensions back. And now we have the origin of our shape. So what I want to do here is I want to start setting a dimension for the length. Now I'm gonna make these 2 points vertical with each other, and then I'm going to set a sketch dimension, or actually I'm going to create a line between them, and I'm going to make this a construction line, and I'm going to set a dimension between the construction line and this original center point on the origin, and I want this to be 3.775 approximately. Doesn't have to be exact, but approximately. And once you have that, the next thing you want to do is let's set a dimension just for reference on this line. So we can see it says 0.653, and that's around the range that we want to have. Now, if you want, you can always come back here and make this 1.5 degrees, and that's going to affect your original, dimension right here, but we can just leave it at that. And now we're going to add the rest of our shape here. So if your design is looking a little bit small, you can always bump up the value here. So you can make this 3.9, and that's going to make it a little bit longer. You could just set it to be 4 inches. And I'm going to come up to my create arc, 3-point arc, and click on this point and make that tangent. It's going to be tangent automatically. And you can kind of bring it in if you need to. And we can create another 3-point arc. I'm just going to drag it out to about here. And I'm going to make these tangent with each other. And I can also create a couple more lines. So I want to create a line that looks something like this, and another line that comes at an angle from it about here, and then up and a little bit longer. We just want to set a flat here, and if you click and drag, you can come out with an arc, but that's not the direction we want. So I'm going to come to create arc, 3-point arc, click on this point, And now we're going to drag out a line that comes to about here. And once you have that, it's going to come to about there. We can set another line that's about here, and this one is going to be parallel with this one. So we're just going to set these to be parallel with each other. And this line is going to come to here. We can kind of drag this around if we need to. I'm going to drag this in, and I'm going to add an arc right here between these two. And that's going to be a closed profile right there. And to finish it off, we want to create a 3-point arc between this point and this point. And again, you can always tweak your shape if necessary, but this is going to be basically the original part. So from here, I'm going to finish my sketch, and I'm going to hit extrude, and I'm going to click on these profiles. And I can set a thickness here to be symmetric, and I want that dimension to be 0.4375, and that's going to be our beginning extrusion. From here, we're going to create a surface. So what we want to do is we want to click on this face, come to create sketch, and we're going to click on this line, click P on the keyboard and hit enter to project it. Now I'm going to click on this line and make a construction. And now I can come to line and drag out a line. And I can click on the line, click on this point, make them coincident. And if I select this line and the line that we projected, I can make them perpendicular. And now we have a perpendicular line. So I'm going to finish the sketch, and under the Surface tab, come to Extrude, click on the line. Let's look at this from here. If I just kind of drag this out and hit OK, I now have a surface that I can work on. And that's going to be very helpful to us. So you can click on this face and create a sketch. And now we're creating a sketch right here on this face. So what we can do is we can create a sketch in the ways of a line, and this line is going to run from here up, and if you need to rotate this to get a better view, then that can definitely help you, because what we're doing is we're going to create a cut that starts right at this point and comes inward, or rather about here. So I'm going to drag this a little bit here. Just going to look at this on this edge. That'll make it a little easier to see what we're doing here. And click on this face, click on look at. Now you're looking directly at that face. So to accomplish this, we're going to have to set a dimension for reference. So I'm just going to place a line here, and I'm going to set a dimension from the origin. So I'm going to click on the origin, click on this line, and this is coming out to 5.214. It's about how far we are. And I'm going to drag this across so that we have a frame of reference. You're going to delete this line. So I'm going to rotate this just to make it a little bit easier to see what we're doing. So that's the point. That's the point on this line. So it's placed at about here. You can see that. That's where it is. And let me click on this face. What we're going to do is we're going to use that line as a frame of reference. So I'm going to come to line and I'm going to drag out a line and I'm going to place it right there. And the other line is going to be in the same, basically the same spot. It's going to intersect this wall, which I will project. And the point, whoops. Got to make this horizontal first. Okay, now let's go. Okay, great. Now let me delete this. I don't know how that came up. And now we have our two lines. And as you can see, they're at the intersection of this line and of the sidewall. That's what we want. And if you need to, you can project the axis. So I can project, for instance, the z-axis, and I can make this construction, and I'm going to use this to dimension my two lines here. So what angle do we want to make this? Let's make it 7 degrees for right now, and we'll do that to the other side as well. We can always change it if we need to. Okay, great. And so let's close up the shape. You don't have to dimension this shape. This is really just for the cutting operation. As you can see, my point has moved. It needs to be right there at the intersection. And that looks good. And we want to make a change to the handle as well. So I'm going to do the same thing. Except for this one, I'm going to come to create and then arc, 3-point arc. And I'm going to create a 3-point arc tangent to this line. Arc, 3-point arc. Click on this point, drag out. You may have to make these 2 points horizontal with each other. And you can always dimension from the center line. So between the center line and this point, we're going to set this at, let's say, 100. So maybe 0.11. It's going to be very tight. We may have to make that dimension larger, but let's see what it looks like. So yeah, we want to make it a little larger than that. Maybe 0.15. All right, that looks a little bit better. And you can set a dimension here. So that's 2.875. You know what? We're not going to use that. We're just going to click on this line and click on this arc and make them tangent to each other if they're not already. And so they can move freely. We may want to get rid of this so that we can make these tangent. And if you're having problems, you may need to get rid of some other constraints you have. But for right now, I'm going to just kind of place these where I feel necessary. And you can always just dimension the arc again. And we can just make these equal. And that's going to be about good enough. And we can always set a dimension here between this point and the origin. And we're gonna drag out lines from these points. So I'm gonna drag a line all the way out, and then I'm gonna do the same thing on the other side. And when I do that, the cut is gonna go all the way through. Also, you can kind of delete this outside line because we're going to connect the entire shape. So that's one side, and now let me connect the other side. And so we have two big closed shapes here. I'm going to finish the sketch, and I'm going to create a cut. So come to Extrude, and the operation is going to be a cut, and I'm going to select these 4 profiles. And we want to cut all the way through in symmetrically. So I'm just going to drag this all the way out and hit OK. And as you can see, our surface is still here. Now that's going to come in handy if we need to use it again, which I believe that we will. But the angle that we made is not extreme enough, so we may want to add to that. I'm going to come back to my sketch, and I could bring this in by a lot more. So instead of 7 degrees, we'll see what 5 degrees looks like. Oh, that's larger. So we want to definitely go much larger than that. So at 11 degrees, you know, you can go even more, and we can just see what this looks like. So let's hit finish. And now everything's updated. And for now, that looks fine. In the future, we can add fillets to this hard edge if we need to. But for now, we can leave it at that. And we can always play with the thickness of the part itself. So if I want to, I can come back to my original profile and I can change this, but we're going to leave it at that for now. So the next section is, now that we've created our cut, what we can do is we can click on this face, start a sketch, and I can just come to my offset and I can click on all these edges at once and I can drag them in. I could drag them into about here and hit OK. And once you have it dragged in, all you have to do is come to, well, first you may want to edit the sketch a little bit. So we're going to come to sketch and we're going to create another center diameter circle. And this particular center diameter circle I'm going to place about here, and I'm going to trim, whoops, selected that by accident. I'm going to trim this arc and these accompanying arcs. And now I can come to solid, extrude, I can click on this and I can bring this down into my part and cut into it. And we can add some fillets here. So I can add some fillets to these corner edges. I can just kind of drag in to where I see fit. So maybe I want to drag it to about here. You can always play with it, and it's a lot of fun to mess around with a design. And I can also add a fillet to the actual pocket. So I'm going to come to fillet and do the same thing. Select the face and drag in. And that's about as much as it's going to let us. So we're going to hit OK. And we want to do the same thing here on the hole. So we'll see if we can do it in the same feature. I'm going to click on Add New Selection, and I'm going to click on this edge. I'm going to make a nice fillet here. And that's going to look a little bit better than before. Now, before we finish, we're going to be filleting this edge as well, but we're going to leave it at that on this side. And now we can mirror these features to the other side. So I can come to my create and then mirror, and I can click on all of these features that I've created. So that includes the cut and the 2 fillets and the mirror plane. If I rotate this, the mirror plane is going to be the YZ plane. And when you hit OK, you're going to see that everything has been mirrored right there to the other side. So that's going to help with some of the weight reduction there on our part. And the next thing that we want to do is we want to create the hole. So we're going to do that by coming back to our sketch here. I'm back to our plane, so I'm going to click on this plane. And now I want to create a hole, a keyway hole, and that's going to need a rectangle, center rectangle. And from your origin, you can drag out a dotted line and just kind of place it. So we're going to place that about there. And we need to also create the circle that we're going to use. So we're going to make this rectangle, let's say about 0.287 on this side. So 0.287. And on the other side, we're going to make this, let's say about 0.136. So this leg, 0.136. You can kind of drag that into place. If you want, you can click on that point and then click on the origin and make them vertical with each other. And I can orbit this a little bit if I need to, just to see exactly where it's going to be cutting. But before we do the cut, let's add another shape, and that's going to be about a 1/4 inch hole. So center diameter circle. And let's drag this out and place it right there. And we're going to make this a diameter of a 1/4 inch. And let's orbit this a little bit. It's easier to see. Now, we want this to start pretty much here at this edge. So I'm going to click on it, P on the keyboard. Click P on the keyboard, and you can drag this down, and you can click on this line, and make them midpoint collinear. And that's beautiful. That's what we want. So finish the sketch, and let's do an extrude cut. And now I can drag this down all the way through the part. And this is a cut, which is selected by default. And I'm actually going to go ahead and extend the rectangle a little bit. Now I'm just going to do it the fast way. I'm going to come to 2-point rectangle and just kind of drag it out. Just going to set a dimension here. Between this line and this line. I want to make this to be, let's say, about an 1/8 inch, 0.125. And we can just come and edit our extrusion. And so that's going to be what our cut looks like. And within the cut, we're going to have the actual tooth that moves in and out. So the way to do that is we're going to create a sketch here. Let me save this first. That's probably a good idea. we're going to create a sketch here, and it's going to be on the YZ plane. Let's create a sketch, okay. And we can make this, we can come to Tools and Section Analysis. And for the face, what you want to select is the YZ face, because that's what we're cutting through. So this is what it's going to show you. We're looking at a cross section now. It's going to be very helpful. So what we want to do is we want to create our jaw shape. I'm going to come here to Line, and let me drag out a line here to about this point. And we're going to come across. And I can actually click on these two and make them parallel with each other. And I can also get the dimension that I'm using here. So I can click on this, and okay, it says 0.081. All right, we're going to make this 0.081 also. So I'm going to just click on this line. I want it to be 0.081. Come to Create, Arc, 3-point arc, click on the point, and let's drag it out to about where we had it before. I'm going to click on this line, drag it to about here. So 0.587. And I can make these horizontal with each other if necessary, but what we really want to do is click on these two lines and make them collinear. So you can actually see I can move this in and out even though it's just a sketch. So when I move it to here, you can see that this is not realistic. I need to move this up, and that's a great use of creating that sketch for testing. So right here it says 0.909. I want to make the same dimension here. And I'm going to click on this. That's going to set them set them equal to each other. That was the wrong dimension. What we really want to dimension is from this line to the bottom line here. So that's 1.034. All right, good. See, I can kind of drag this in, drag this out, and it's always going to come back to that point. And so from here, obviously this is not enough. We need to add more. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to make this have a thickness. So I'm going to come to Solid, Extrude. Now it's important to remember what we've done here because we're extruding right now and it's going to be two objects, so I'm going to click on this face. And for right now, I want this to be a new component. So that's what you're going to have here as a new component. So I'm going to hit OK. And I only extruded it in one direction. So if I kind of show the rest of my part, if I basically come to Analysis and just hide this, then you're going to see the rest of it. You're going to see that it's really only extruded one way. So we want it to be extruded both ways. So in this edit feature, I can do two-sided, and the two object is going to be this face. And now I have two faces that I'm extruding to. So it's going to be a new body. We can't do new component with the two faces, but it's going to be a new body now instead. And now I can add the rest of what I need to add here. So we can just kind of save this one more time. I'm going to come to Tools, Section, same deal. And from here, what we can do is we can create the last of what we need. So I want to create basically a sketch, and that sketch is going to be right here on this face. So let me start a sketch on this face, and that sketch is going to have a center diameter circle, which is going to come from the origin. If you need to, you can make these related to each other, but we don't want to take it too far with all these relations, because that can really mess up your model. So for right now, I'm just gonna kind of eyeball this piece, at least just for this example. And so if I need to, I can just look here for reference. I can click on this face once again to bring me back, and let me drag out another rectangle. This rectangle is going to come from about here down. And what you really want to do is you want to click on the line and that center point and make them midpoint with each other. And we can just finish our sketch. And so from here, we want to drag that past that point. And now we can come to extrude, and we can extrude this back to about there. Yeah, up to about here. Except it's not a cut. Sorry about that. It's actually a join. Okay, great. So now, as you can see, our new body is here in pink. And the last thing is to create a sketch basically on this face. And once you create a ring now on this face, you can now create an extrusion from here. So you can come in this direction, and you can do it two sides. So now I want to have it coming out this way also, except it's not a cut, it's a join. And now we have our actual shape that we need here. So it's going to look something like that. And we can always drag this out more. So I can kind of drag it out to about here. And we can always change that dimension. And so the next thing that we want to do is we need to create the cut for the actual gearing. So let's just take a look at our part here before we continue. So I'm just going to turn off this analysis, and we can just kind of do an orbit of what we have so far. You can see we have that tool piece right there. And so if we need to, we can create some fillets here, but we're going to wait on that just for now. So what we want to do from here is let's create the cut that we need to create. So come down to bodies and hide this body. And then on this face, we can extrude a plane. So come to solid and then offset plane. And let's offset it to about here. About halfway. And just hit OK. And now when you click on this plane, you can create a sketch. And this sketch is going to have some lines. And these lines are basically like rectangle cutouts. So I'm going to create a couple of these rectangle cutouts. I'm going to set a dimension here between these two lines. Sorry, between this line and this line. I'm going to drag this out to about 0.1. And we care a lot about the angle as well. So just gonna click P on the keyboard, hit enter, and I can set a dimension between this line and this line. And I want this to be, yes, about maybe 10 degrees for this example. And once you have that, you can click on solid, extrude. And you can just kind of cut downward, and that's going to be a cut. So that's what we've done. We've created a cut here. And let's come back to our sketch. Or rather, let's create a pattern. So want to come to create, pattern, rectangular pattern, and if I come to pattern and then features, I can click on this feature, and with this object selected, I can choose a direction, and I want that direction to be in this direction, except may want to flip it the other way. So let's make a distance of 0.1. Let's just see what that looks like. Whoops, this is not what we wanted. This is what we wanted. We want to make it the cut what we're using. So instead of 0.1, let's bump this up to 0.2, 0.8. Okay, great. So we just need to flip the direction. So instead of the way that it's going now, we want it to actually go in the other direction. So we want it to come this way. And I can always bump up the number of these, so I can make 6 of them even if I want. All right, I'm just going to drag it to about there and hit OK. And so that's our kind of rack for our worm gear. And from here, I can bring back the original body. And you can't see it, but it is in there. Now, if I kind of hide the original body, that's the location. So we're going to use that location to create our cutout. So from here, I can click on this face or the origin YZ plane, and I can create a sketch. Oh, my whole part just flipped. I can create a sketch here. Basically, it's going to be a 2-point rectangle, but I'm going to make it with the line. It might be a little bit easier to do that. So I'm going to click on this line, click P on the keyboard to project it, and make another line. And this is going to be parallel with this one. And now I can finish creating a box here. making these two parallel. So you can see that right there. And we can move this in a little bit, but I'm going to basically create a cut extrude. So I'm going to come to extrude, click on this, and we're going to be cutting really in both directions. So it's going to be symmetric. And for objects to cut, this is really important. You only want to cut through the correct body. So right here we have our bodies. You want to be cutting through the correct piece here. So we don't want to cut this one, we want to cut this. So just hit OK. And if we rotate back, we can unhide our original piece here. So that's about what you want to see. You want to see something that kind of looks like this, and we can always come back to our sketch and kind of edit it. So I can bring this up a little bit more if I need to, and I can kind of bring this in a little bit. So that's what it's going to appear as. And as you can see, we're cutting all the way through the part. So I'm going to create another sketch here. And this is going to be for the actual worm gear. So I'm going to create a sketch. And this is going to be a revolution. So it's going to start at about here. And if you'd like, you can click on this line, project it, and then set this point right on the center. And you can make these perpendicular with each other and drag this to the other side and click on that line. And now we can create our actual revolution. So I'm going to kind of drag this out. This is going to be the cylinder of the worm gear. And now that I've created this profile, I can now revolve it. So I'm going to come to solid and create a revolve, and it's going to be with this axis, and that's going to be a new body. From here, let's start a sketch on this face. And this sketch is going to include this circle of the barrel. So I'm going to project it. And now I can use this sketch to create a small circle on the inside, about 0.075. And I'm going to make the outside construction. And now I can come to solid, extrude, and I can use this circle to cut upward all the way through. And within this cut operation, I can actually cut in both directions. So instead of one side, it's going to be two sides. And I'm going to cut a little bit in this direction as well. And so now that we have our cut finished, I can come to create, thread, and I can click on this inside shape here. And if I need to, I can come to tools, section analysis. I can click on this face, and now I can look all the way through everything. So now I can come back to solid and go to my thread feature. I want to click on this face, and I want to click on this face as well. But at first, we're just going to leave this at what's recommended. So in real life, you're going to be more particular about choosing your thread, but we're just going to leave it at this for now. And we want to do the same thing for the other cut. So right here, this is also going to be a modeled thread. And as you can see, our screw or our set screw is going to come all the way through here. It's going to come through this barrel and it's going to thread into here. And when it does that, it's going to lock the barrel into the location that it is so that it can only rotate. So let's close out this section. And with that created, we can see our hole right here, our tapped hole. That's what we want. Now let's come up to the Create tab again. And this time we're going to select Coil. And let's orbit the part a little bit. If we zoom in here, we want to select this cylinder. And once it's selected, we can click on the center and drag out. And as you can see, we have our cylinder bottom circle selected. So if I look at this again from the side, I can drag this arrow up, and the diameter is going to be 0.259. 0.259. And we're going to have 3 revolutions with a height of negative 0.566. And the negative is just because we're going in this direction. We're not going to have an angle, and the section is going to be a square section. So be sure to click on square. And it's going to be on center with a section size of 0.07, and the operation is going to be a join. So we're going to hit OK. And that is our worm gear. And so from here, what we may need to do is we may need to set a fillet or chamfer right here on this edge and bring this in to about here. And we want to do this on the other side. So I'm going to create another one, another chamfer. And we're going to drag this in to about there. And those are going to be our 2 chamfers that are going to help with not getting this piece jammed. And we also want to do some aesthetic changes to the rest of our part for aesthetic reasons and also for manufacturing reasons. So let's create the fillet. And if you need to, you can just hide this surface right here. We're going to create a fillet here on the outside of our part. So I can just select these edges. And I can kind of drag in. And I want to do that on the other side as well. So 0.092 is our dimension. And we're going to use that when we're bringing this in. That's going to be our dimension. So 0.092. All right. And as you can see, if I rotate this, it's starting to look a lot better now. But another spot where we can choose to add a fillet is this edge right here. And I can try to do them both at the same time as long as the fillet isn't too large. So I can drag this in, drag it into about there. And that's going to be a much needed shape change from before. And so that is pretty much it. Now we can make more aesthetic adjustments. For instance, this sharp edge right here, I could add a fillet there if I'd like. As well as here on this cut, if we rotate this, we can look inside and we can choose to add a couple fillets wherever it's necessary. So here, here, and then here at the top. And you can select the edges through the part. We can just kind of drag that in a little bit. And if I rotate this, I can see the changes that I'm making. I can see that they're not being selected on this side as they should. So I'm just going to make a couple new selections and select these edges as well. Whoops. Let me get rid of that. Try that again. Okay. 0.026, that's what we want to type in here. And if we hit OK, we can rotate this and we can see the nice cutout that we now have. And we can also add a fillet here to this full shape. You can just kind of drag that out a little bit. And that's going to look a little bit nicer. And we can do that here on the other side as well. I can just edit this feature, click on this edge now. Sorry, I can start from scratch, click on this face. I want this to be 0.03, just like before. And I can always bump up this dimension if I want to. So 0.04 and 0.04. And let's hit OK. And that is our wrench. So look at that. And if you'd like, you can come up to Tools and click on Component Color Cycling Toggle. And what that's going to do is it's going to change the color of the components here. So it's a little bit easier to distinguish one piece from the other. And I can also change the color, so I can go to Appearance. And I can make this maybe a nice sort of aluminum polished color. Even though that may not be the material, that could be a great color to use just to describe it. And that's going to be our wrench. Thank you for watching, and let me know if there are any specific tutorials that you want to see in the future.